What's up, my friends out there in YouTube land? This is Rockin' Dave from North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. Something like that, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. On this Wednesday, Rockin' Ibanez. Pretty badass looking guitar, huh? Only what, $300-400? It can't go wrong, my friends. Can't go wrong. I hope everyone is doing great out there. I really appreciate it. Let's see, we got Mr. Soto Pop. How you doing? Mr. Clive. Hey, Clive, how you doing? Broken Chains, what's happening, man? Oh, all right. Yeah. Oh, no, thanks, buddy. You know what? A lot of what I do, Broken Chains, Mrs. X Allen. How you doing, my friend? I really appreciate it. And, of course, you know, my sponsors. I love doing this, you know what I mean? Because it's the real deal, right? You one of those bad boys like the Tone King, right? Of course, there's always a glare from the camera, you know? But, you know, honestly, guys, I just really love to improvise, you know? If anyone would ask me, Dave, would you ever describe what your strengths are? Well, got many weaknesses, but very few. Well, the first strength is my wife, right? I'll tell you what, yeah, dude, there's Deb. She says hi to everyone. You know, she's, yeah, thanks. You know, I mean, there could be, what do you call it, a little veneer top, you know. I mean, on the Gibson, it is you know, about a 1/4 inch double or triple flame maple. Here, it does look nice. It really does. And it's so comfortable for me to play because, you know, it does not have that arm contour. It took me, thanks so much, guys. You know, it took me a while. When I went from my Ibanez Artist, which I had a 78 model, but, you know, it doesn't matter what year it is. The Ibanez Artist is similar to the Les Paul when it was the double cutaway Les Paul. And it did have the belly contour, like this has a belly contour, or a belly cut, whatever you want to call it. That's actually the back, you know. Nice, smooth neck to heel. Yeah, Deb rocks too. You know what? Broken Change, I really appreciate. Yeah, you know, my wife has been so supportive. That's why I'll make comments, and I'll catch myself when I say, like, my Les Pauls. It's really ours, because, you know, she's been with this journey with me for 20 years now. And, you know, my life was really upside down when she, you know, came around and she met me. Actually, we met at Ozfest 1998. And we've been to every single Ozfest back up in Chicago, Illinois. Well, actually, it was in Tinley Park. But, you know, it's a suburb of Chicago. And and her involvement in running sound professionally and being at the NAMM shows at Anaheim, she's got, well, I'll tell you what, when it comes down to NAMM shows, she's got a lot more experience at NAMM than myself. I've only been to one, when it was in Chicago, Illinois. And, you know, it's a lot of fun. I was in the Gibson booth, and I met quite a few. You meet the stars over there, you know. And of course, my wife gets invited to the after show party, and I know back in Chicago it would close at 6:00 p.m. and then that's when I got this deal with Monroe Custom Guitars. Oh, thanks, Broken Chains. You know, it's. The history is just really my experience in life. You know, I've said this before. I started playing guitar in 1974 at the age of 11 years old, and so I think that was in maybe October of '74. Because in Chicago we went back to school the first Wednesday after Labor Day. Yeah, it does. Yeah, Zach, it does look cool. I mean, it's like. It's a nice matte finish, the matching headstock, reverse headstock. At first I wasn't too hip on the maple fretboard, but I kind of like it now. And I think it's pretty badass, very comfortable to play. It's a workhorse. These guitars are workhorse guitars, man. I know you got a lot more expensive guitars out there, Framus and all these other companies, and not that Ibanez won't make expensive guitars, you know, but what they make in a killer affordable price range, I'll tell you what, as a working musician, you can't beat them, you know. And it is a guitar company that never faded away from the market. Like other companies, unfortunately, not anything bad on them, the guitar builders or the guitar itself. Just that situations, financial situations happen. Um, and I thought, if I'm going to do any kind of a dedication to any type of a guitar company or a pedal or something, I might as well pick something that I truly like. And since it was the first good guitar I've owned, and they've been around for a long time, and realizing that Ibanez artist I had was their first run of them leaving their copy guitars. Yeah. Yeah, is it? Yeah, they make great guitars. There's a lot of great manufacturers out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not endorsed by Ibanez or Digitech or anybody. I just really believe in the stuff that I play because it's held up for me. Um, and they've been very reliable. But I give a lot of hats out, a lot of credit to Ibanez because when they broke off on their own, they became 100%. Everything's gonna be them. They're not gonna do any more copy guitars or anything like that, guys. They really wanted to break off on their own, and they did a great job, and they've survived the test of time. That doesn't mean anyone's gonna like them. That's everyone's got a right to their opinion. So, but it is a great guitar. But yeah, I started playing in '74, October I think it was, and by December we were already playing the school assemblies. And I remember having a conversation. This is many years ago with a friend of mine, and he says, "Dave, you can't really count the school assembly as your first gig." What the hell you mean I can't? There was over 300 people in the crowd. Is there over 300 people in the clubs now? You know what I mean? Not knocking it, but the fact that it matters is the fact that I just witnessed a Facebook war. Oh, yeah. Hey, Broken Chains, this is interesting. Soda Pop, love your Ibanez. Oh, yeah. You got the S520EX. Oh, those are great guitars. Let's see what's going on with Facebook war over Japan versus Indonesia guitars. So silly because it's all the players. It is Broken Chains. Absolutely right, man. And you got a great collection of guitars, man. Wow. And all of your memorabilia, the action figures and everything, dude, that is awesome. That is totally awesome. But it is silly what's going on. It's sad that everything has come to this, but it is what it is. And we would have never imagined things getting to these points. Oh, we would never imagine companies getting to this point. The lack of wood, absolute mayhem. What is happening? Was I have a 1989 Ibanez GX350. Oh yeah, Old Man Dan, still working on those ideas, man. And we'll probably see if we can get him up by tomorrow. I know tomorrow night's gig at the Blue Monkey Soda Pop. Who cares where guitars come from, as long as they play and sound great? Here's the deal. Hey, what's happening, my friend? Save a train wreck. What's happening? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry if I mispronounce anyone's names. Jim Dietrich, the name, the legend. Oh, there's Janice. What's happening? Acoustic electric. Look at this. I've got many acoustic electrics, and this is also an Ibanez. Now this is not actual wood finish, but it looks like it. You know what I mean? It might be a really. I'll play this in a moment. Yeah, it's a nice, comfortable guitar, and it does have a nice appearance. Sometimes the appearance does help, my friends. Especially if you do any like corporate gigs. That's why we had to buy a couple of Les Pauls for the corporate gigs, because it's the perception. And I'd be all suited up for some of these gigs, and we would do shows for Exxon Mobil, Fairmount Hotel downtown Chicago. We did the Rebar and Trump Towers downtown Chicago. Morale Realty, which we would do their shows in the Helton, was it in Lisle, Illinois. ExxonMobil, we do it in Joliet, Illinois, and then we get the road show gigs, But it's like anything else, Sometimes you got to play the game. So, you know what I mean. If you dress the part, you get the part. You know what I mean. But they were wonderful, wonderful people we've done shows for. But I agree. Yeah, it's all in the player's hands, and I don't knock expensive gear or people who want to buy expensive gear. You work hard. That's your money. You do everything you want to do. But if someone were to ask me, Dave, I'm tight for the bucks. What would you recommend? I'd say whatever is within your budget, and you play every guitar that you like that's within that budget. Of course, do as much research as possible. That's why, and sometimes it's kind of hard to do research because you'll see people playing in their studio or in their studio room, or like I call this, the rock room, not the romper room, but the rock room. And Jim Geitrid, he's got his studio room with his son Alex, and you guys do some great work. And Broken Chains, I love the videos you put up, man. Dude, you are gigging, but you're smart. You don't have to drag your gear all over the place, right? Which is brilliant. And I give hats out to a lot of people that do that, because take advantage of this platform. Hopefully, this platform never goes away, right? But other than that, if someone were to tell me, well, what about if I'm going to do X amount of shows? I'm a gigging musician. I have to drive all over the place. Laugh out loud, yeah. No, it's great watching your guys' stuff, man. When I practice, I'll do all my picking exercise. Keep my hands in shape. Oh, you're very welcome, Jim Geitrid. You're very welcome. I'll have my headphones on. I'll be watching Jim Geitrid. I'll be watching Broken Change. I'll be watching our great friend Joe Winch from the Joe Winch Project. He's a great guy, man. He's helped me set up our store and everything. And everyone subscribe to Jim, Broken Chains, Jim Geitrid. Everyone subscribe to each other, man, because we got a great platform. We got great people here. But that's what I'll do. I'll check out people's channels, and I never judge a person by their ability or inability, or how many subscribers they have, or what they don't have, or how expensive the gear is. But one thing I will say is that when it comes down to absolutely gigging all over the place, yeah, so many of these YouTube friends are all great players. Yeah, you know what? Where else would you see this? I mean, really think about it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the signal. Yeah, the first time I saw YouTube was maybe like 2008, maybe 2009. I can't remember. Actually through students, and they were doing all this research and how does this song play and that, and I think the first time I seen Shane in the Blues was maybe 2010, somewhere in that time frame. And the Tone King, I saw the Tone King before I saw Shane. But how I ran into Jim Geitrid, Joe Winch Project, and Adam EVH, another great guy, was through a link that was on one of Shane's in the Blues, and I just had it playing in the background, and then I started seeing like a live chat, and Shane had mentioned about our Metal Stage podcast, and I went on there, and then the first person I actually contacted was Joe Winch, because his icon was catchy, eye-catchy. Because I wear the reading glasses, because you know how it is. As we get older, the type gets smaller. But I don't think that's really what's happening. I think they're making it smaller because they want to see us old farts put on glasses and stuff like that. But anyway, so I clicked on and Joe Winch, and then from Joe Winch I saw Jim Geitrid, and I started watching Joe Winch's videos and Jim Geitrid's videos like simultaneously. And then one day I happened to go to the grocery store. That's all rock stars gotta go to the grocery store, right? And anyways, I had my phone, and I said, oh, check this out. There's like a live stream, and there's Joe playing his guitar, and he's a great guitar player. And he's talking, and I thought, hey, I wonder if this thing works. So me with one finger, this is how I type, and I send a message, and didn't think it would go through, but yeah. Please don't judge people by their insanity. Oh yeah, ha. No, no, I hear you, my friend. But anyways, Metal X, what's happening? I'm glad you joined. Yeah, I was just watching your live stream. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, RP355. Yeah, isn't it something? This bass sound that's in here. This is where this pedal just, I think, annihilates everybody. And it's so simple by having that simple little function. If you had to do things live on the fly, boom, right there, and let's say loop things. And this is the situation I've always been in, so this is why I use this stuff. I'll tell you what, man, it works every time, every time. Um, but yeah, so I typed in for Joe Winston, and he responded. I'm like, hey, this is cool. So then we started, developing a friendship there, and yeah, when I can, I watch his stuff. I always send it. I always like to give him a great plug because he is absolutely the first person that I communicated with. And then right after that, I think it was Jim Dietrich because I was watching Jim Dietrich's live stuff, you know. And when people think that all you're doing is just putting up a video and just me jamming, and remember the old boombox, Jim Dietrich. You'll remember the old Sony and Emerson boomboxes. We used to put the cassette tape in and hit record, and boom. Um, That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the days of when you would dream of either making it or becoming a professional musician. You had that vision in your head, but at that time things was a lot different. But don't you guys look at, those days and you kind of long for those good old days? You know what I mean? And like my wife said many times, that sometimes the dream is better than the reality. You know what I mean? Although we've been very blessed with our musical career, and big part is my wife's help. You know, uh, is oh, let's see. Stevie Blue is a mean blues player, folks. I gotta check that out. I always get asked. And lately I've put like bluesy, jazzy pieces up because being from Chicago and growing up in the city, literally, I mean, down the street was all these blues clubs, and down the street this way was the Piano Man on Grace and Clark Street, where they would have live jazz. I remember seeing Herb Walker and friends play there, and I was underage. I couldn't get in, so I'd stare outside, literally on Grace Street, looking inside the window, and I'd see Herb Walker playing his big jazz guitar with his band, and he had a PV amp. You could always tell the 80s, the PV amps. I think he had a Triumph 60, because on the back you had that, it would have that tag, and it would tell you what kind of amp it was, but and it was a tube amp. You see the tubes glowing, and it looked like he was playing a lot of major seventh and minor seven chords, because you could kind of tell after a while of shape. You could almost, and when you hear it, you could almost put the two and two together. But and of course I love playing metal, and I was always the oddball because of the area I grew up in. That's why one of these days I like to get in touch with Shane from In the Blues and talk some blues, because I did send a message, but I don't know if he got it or not, on one of the chats, when he was talking about Sammy Fender, and it's about 9 years ago. He wasn't exactly in Chicago, or if he was in a suburb of Chicago. It could have been Libertyville, or one of the places that borderlines Wisconsin, or maybe he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I can't remember. But just to let him know that if he would have, I've got so many stories that he would love to hear. Because, I mean, back in the 80s, when Stevie Ray Vaughan got popular, it did give a little surge in the blues scene. And Buddy Guy had his club. He still has his club. But Buddy Guy had his club. And, man, my wife would run sound for the Kinsey Report, Lonnie Brooks. We had Sun Seals Blues Band, Eddie the Clearwater Chief. Eddie the Chief Clearwater. Sorry, Lefty Diz. Shane would like Lefty Diz because he was left-handed. And some of these blues players, man, this one guy, I can't remember who it was now. He played one of the PV, it looked like a destroyer type of PV. And he's an old blues guy. And these guys, man, they would play whatever. We'd go to Maxwell Street, we'd go down all these other streets with these pawn shops. We'd go down to the Addison Rocks, have our jam session. So this whole area is where I was developing all my technique. And being a big fan of Al Di Meola, and then how Al Di Meola spawned off or helped spawn off some of the. I really think he did help with the shred, because you had the jazz rock fusion, and then some of the older videos with Di Meola playing with Chick Corea and Return to Forever, and he's got his Marshall stacked and his Marshall half stack, ripping away on the Les Paul. It was just so cool, and at that time. I remember the first time we seen Di Meola at the Erie Crown Theater, which was inside McCormick Place, and this was January 1982, and I just had surgery done on my tooth, so you had the thing stuck in my tooth, But me and my friends, man, we had to go. It was the first time we seen Al live, and he was off of the Electric Rendezvous tour, and I kid you not, in the stadium, in the audience, because it was very elegant. You had people in suits and ties. You had very high class ladies dressed up, and then you had all the burnouts with our army coats, smelling like weed. Everyone was smelling like weed, man. And it was one hell of a performance. It was so cool to see people in the hard rock and the metal genre, because metal was starting to really come out. Because we had, let's see, Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East, and all these other albums, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules. So you had this sector merging with like the Carlos Santana on steroids. There's a lot of people, call it Di Meola. It's like Santana, but he's like on steroids, And this merge, they're just, man, it was solid. And all these ideas were just, people were really, really excelling at their playability, man. It was a great time. But at the same time, down the street, here's all the blues clubs, Steve Ray Vaughan is getting popular. And it was just such a great time. That's why one of these days I'd like to get in touch, with Shane and just really talk some serious Chicago blues from where I grew up, and when I would go down to Kingston Mines, and we had all these clubs, and if I could take that guy back in time, I'll tell you what, he would never want to leave that time. I guarantee it, man. I know R2, R3 locking us in Schaumburg. So, hey. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you know what? Broken Chains made a comment about, Jim Dietrich, putting up, the covers of Dokken, YNT, The Hunter. Oh, yeah, it was a great. And then, Broken Chains, he did Alone Again, I think it was. Yeah. I remember everyone had the cassette tape, the Dokken, Unchained the Night, and it was just so awesome, man. That whole movement of the metal circuit, So let's catch up. EJ's guitar jams, let's see. Most people through, EJ's guitar jams is great, yeah. Well. Hey, thanks, old man Dan. I really appreciate it, man. I try to give everyone the shout out as much as I can, because the more the channel grows, the more it gets harder. But I never want to leave anybody outside, man. I'll tell you what, because without all you guys, this really helps. And then this helps bring the guitar community together. And this is what's so special about our platform, our guitar community on YouTube. Mainstream media is going through its thing. And that's fine, let mainstream media do what it's doing, because there are young kids that are interested in rock, metal, the 80s metal, the classic rock of the 70s. I've had young students, she swore up and down that she was born in the wrong time, because she loved 80s metal. I had another student that loves a lot of the 60s and 70s classic rock, So all of this, it's definitely going to come back in a way, maybe it's slightly different, like the band Greta Van Fleet. which hopefully, let's see as time goes on what they really develop into. But at least they've taken the inspiration. Now, maybe it's like almost dead on to like Led Zeppelin, okay? But they've taken that inspiration and in part of their love for the band Led Zeppelin, and Led Zeppelin's a great band, man, no doubt about it. And a marketer seeing this, because this also comes into the play, and pushing this out. So let's see as the years go by what this band develops into and what it spawns people, inspires people to listen to the old Zeppelin albums and all that stuff, because that was some great stuff, man. Jeff Underwood, what's happening, man? Yeah, this is great. I like watching this. Oh, the mother truckers, you know what? Okay, absolute mayhem. Yeah, I think Yoda says. Yeah, let's see this. There's a mother trucker. It was an old joke. I can't remember who said, what do you call a female truck driver with kids? A mother trucker. But I guess there actually is a band out there. They're mother truckers. Good for them, right? Nightbot Lover, what is happening? Be sure to tune in on Friday and Saturdays. Yeah, we will. We will. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. This is such an inspiration. And and we are going to be featuring again our good friend American Devil. We did this song Throwback, and I basically was improvising right over the chord progression. That sounded killer, man. I mean, this guy's got some great stuff, great production. Fellas, I've had my time in the limelight. Okay, Clive, not sure on the tube. I'm not sure on the tube to self-promote. Hey, no problem. Absolutely. Clive, there is a lot of people that have had some heavy touring experiences, a lot more than myself. We've self-funded all our road shows because you know how it is. You try to get in this record company or this record label, and we've done all that. We would do the subscribing to this organization, that organization, contact. We did get a call back or a letter back from the guy, Bruce. Why do I keep forgetting his name? That owns Alligator Records. It's just that my style of blues rock wasn't just his thing, and I didn't sing, but he did like what I was doing, and I give that guy a lot of respect because, basically I didn't get a signed deal with him, but I'm not going to bash him. He was honest, and that's all I ask is when people are honest, when you try to get an opportunity. I think out of all the people that have been in the industry, other than my wife, he's been the most honest, the guy from Alligator Records. And that I have a lot of respect for. It's when the people string you out and keep coming back next week and don't worry, we got the contract ready for you, and you know what I mean? You spend all this money and by the time at the end of the year you're like, damn, I could have funded it myself, That's the thing. So if you got any experience, love to, when we are able to start hosting our hangouts, I'd like to talk with a lot of you guys out there, have you on and see what got you started and what your experience is, and if you've had the touring experience or this being signed, you know how it works. It is a money game. It's a business. People got to see the return on their investments. That's what's going on out there. Now let's see, who was it? Oh, somebody. I feel so embarrassed by not remembering this, but somebody had mentioned about, I know it was Fender Guru, was talking about Bo Diddley and the Rolling Stones and the link. And I wish we would have asked Bo Diddley that because we actually met him. Welcome to the all new viewers. Yeah, this guitar is totally awesome. Nightbot Lover, I tell you what, it's a great platform for us, man. It is a great platform for us, and I know there's sometimes people get into little arguments or quarrels or whatever. But let's hope it doesn't ever get to that point where it gets real bad. Because see, this is when it starts to elevate to a really bad level, then that's when Google starts monitoring and say, okay, we gotta watch it because there's something going on. Shut it down, and I hope that never happens. I hope that never happens. But when Fender Guru was talking about Bo Diddley, Deb and I, when we were down back when was it 2002, that's when we bought the Hughes and Kettner at Encore Music in Port Richey or Newport Richey, Florida. And I didn't recognize Bo Diddley. I guess he was doing a guitar clinic. I just thought he was an older guy, and I really wasn't paying too much attention because we had just put our CDs in his store at Encore Music, because you were able to sell CDs at that store as well. So we put our CDs in there, and we're checking out some of the amps, and I'm playing, and there was 3 different models of the Hughes and Kettner Edition Blue, and I'm playing away, and then this guy's looking at me, and I said, oh, I don't know, there was no ad. There was nothing that I saw. If there was, then I missed the ad that he was going to be there. But then I figured out the guy's giving a clinic, and so I figured, okay, I'll turn my volume down and just, But he kept watching me play, and he didn't give me any dirty looks or anything like that. But then when he did look at me, he was trying to give a conversation. I thought, okay, I'm gonna show this guy respect, and I honestly didn't recognize him because he always wears that hat. But then he leaves, the audience leaves, and he's hanging around there. And I said to Deb, I says, I wonder if this guy's Bo Diddley. He looks like him a little bit. Sure enough, he comes up and shakes our hand, and I says, you're Bo Diddley, aren't you? He says, yeah, I'm Bo Diddley. I said, wow, it's an honor meeting him, and I apologized to him, because we didn't recognize him. And he admired my playing. And, it wasn't because I was doing I was doing some of the shredding, but I was doing some of the jazz licks and things of that nature. And I told him what my background was and where I was from and that. And, he told me he started out wanting to play like that. But growing up in the area he grew up, he always had to fight his way through the neighborhoods and box his way, and he did mess up his hands. So it developed his own style, and I was like, well, what you've done, what you've accomplished has influenced thousands of musicians. So it's just an honor just to be able to talk to him. But we had like a good half hour, 45 minutes conversation with him, like a one-on-one. And one of the things he said is how they got robbed by a pencil, and how the industry, this has been going on forever, But what a great guy he was, man. So down to earth, no ego or nothing, man. Let's see if I catch up. I really appreciate it, guys, because I'm big fans of all you out there, too. I really am, and I'm not just saying that to be nice. What year did I graduate high school? Metal ruled in the 80s. I graduated high school in 1981. And in the summer of 1981, everybody in high school wanted to play like Jimmy Page, And I love the way Jimmy Page plays. The Les Paul way down here and the hand all messed up and that. But my musical background was really in classical music because my dad used to play all these albums. And then he had one album by Ramsey Lewis. And I did not know this, that one of my aunts who long passed away on my grandmother's side, one of my aunts, her first husband, I forget his real name, they always called him Kiki, but he was an artist. He would draw and sketch. He was best friends with Ramsey Lewis, so I would always hear these stories, and my dad would be playing the Ramsey Lewis albums and motion picture soundtracks. So it really was influenced by classical music. But as a kid, I remember 1969, the apartment we lived in, we had a courtyard area, and all the hippies would have their guitars. So it was like this big mosh pit of every different sound. AM radio, But in the summer of 1981 is when I wanted to get my technique, because I knew what I wanted to do. And when I first heard Al Di Meola picking every note fast like that, now if Eddie Van Halen, he blew the doors down, man. Holy crap. When that album came out, look out, guys. You know, that really took off, man. So I'm a big Eddie Van Halen fan, but I don't go out and buy the EVH gear or anything like that. I respect it, but I don't buy really signature guitars except the Les Paul. I think the only signature guitar that really ever caught my eye was the Paul Stanley model. And my friend Andy Rios had one. He had the 1979. That's what that came out, He paid $500 for it at Biasco Music in Chicago on Belmont Avenue. But, and oh, by the way, I wanted to answer your question. These are stock pickups. These are what they call Quantum. They do the job for me, I used to DiMaggio pickups are great pickups, and Seymour Duncan's are all great pickups. But when you're doing a lot of gigging, man, you ain't. Trust me. I've been as artist. I stuck that DiMaggio dual sound pickup in there, and it was a great pickup. But it took a long time, man. You know what I mean? And I like to be picking strings as than picking wires. Found words with. Oh, I always, yeah, don't worry, I'm the same way. I'm one finger typing. Soda Pop is one finger. That's how I am, man. I'm trying to get through the chat here. Any thoughts on a style of music combining soul, blues, and country? You know what? And I know I'm probably behind in my chats. Here's the deal. With RUI, because Mike is a huge country fan and he's got a great voice for it, it does bridge a lot of it. You'd have country and then you'd have blues and jazz. It all mixes together, you know what I mean? And so, if I were to take like soul music, to me, you get these. And of course, well, I'll tell you what, this really sounds like it to me. Let me get one of the patches here. Let's see. A lot of major sevenths. With a slight phase shifter, because kind of give it that 70s feel. So there's that. Now, a lot of your country would be based on a lot of major chords. I like my country playing to be like horrible sometimes, man. But when I arpeggiate melodies around it, I'll just take a D major chord form. Now if I go to G major, I'll just go down here. I won't really think in terms of how much stuff I have to put to it. I'll think in terms of what I can do with what I'm putting there. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to overplay it. If that makes sense, But a lot of it is basically intertwined. Now, here's something interesting that I thought this was really fascinating. Okay, again, rock guitar community is awesome. Yeah, you got that right, Metal X. I only played an Ibanez to get the country and eastern tone, trying to stay away from country and western, Yeah, I mean, it was never really my thing. But a lot of this new wave of this country music is more like southern rock, And the way Michael sings with RUI, and he's got such great passion for it, it gives me that break and gives me that challenge, you know what I mean? So, sometimes you just make things work, and it just does open up a new era, a new chapter in style playing. Okay, hey Dave, I like the Chicago blues too. I saw some of those guys back in the 70s. Oh yeah, Arvin Grant, how are you, man? Yeah, man, those guys totally rocked, man. And then you had Coco Taylor. I seen Coco Taylor open up for Stevie Ray Vaughan 1984 Blues Fest for free, and she killed it, man. And then we had, and we still have this gal, Joanne Connor, and she would play all over the place, man. Now, and then you have the British blues, which I love the British blues stuff. Michael Bliss, how Bishop, how are you? Thank you for tuning in, my friend. I really appreciate it. Mr. Bruce, rock and roll, my friend. Again, I tried to catch it. Sonia, how are you? Quietly enters. Yeah, I'm just again trying to catch up with everyone's chats, man. Jim Greacher. Yeah, Jim, you rock, man. Look, I'm probably like several pages behind. You know what I mean? See, I do everything off the phone because that's how I could do things right now. Ah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, you have a good one too. I really appreciate it, Trainwreck. Save Trainwreck. If I'm pronouncing that right, boy, I tell you what, man. I'm trying to get myself into trouble, man. I don't mean to. I am still learning, practicing, and learning every day. But a few times I put the guitar down, just having one was it. You know what? When everything gets too much, put it down, man. You know, I've seen several people talk about setting their action on the guitar, and I totally agree with that. These are different times. We have all these options with different string gauges that we didn't have when I started playing. Or if we did, there was no one around. We'd have to buy our strings from the pawn shop, and they'd be used. We didn't know. I mean, we were totally oblivious of what things were supposed to be. But because we had to do everything ourselves, that's how we learned. And action a mile away, but you know what? The passion and the drive was there, so there was like nothing was going to stop us from doing what we wanted to do. And like I said, when I graduated in 1981, me and my friends Andy and Angel, we'd practice all day. And then our friend Rob and Louis Pacheco, we'd all get together, man. And I was going to go to, let's see, GIT in California. My grandfather talked me out of all of that because he said, you already know how to play. Let's see if you could get a job after you spend all this money, And he was a very practical man. And I thank God that he stepped in and said the things to me the way he said them. Because it really, now when I look back, especially after meeting my wife and the 20 years, her and I doing this together, it's like everything that my grandfather told me, was coming true. And just how my wife is, it's all about money. It's about money. When people say, and I'm not trying to knock it, when people would say in this industry, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, who are the people you're supposed to know? People who are broke or people with money? People with money, right? You kind of ask for the advice. If they don't give you advice, you pretend that I don't say pretend, but you intern a little bit. If you got money to back you up, and you get your feet wet, and when you figure out how everything is really done out there, it's going to be this. That will always reign supreme because there's one thing everyone shares in common. We all have bills to pay. So of course they're going to take your money. And I've said this, a few live sessions, ago, that Deb had contacted when we used to advertise in Guitar World magazine, and she had her company advertised in Guitar World. And so we were brainstorming all these ideas, and she says, hey, what would it take for us to get to these levels? That everyone would like to get these levels. And my chair is making some noises. And so she contacted the person in charge of sales and marketing. And at the time, they'd send you the information, and literally it's a folder, but it's shaped like a Marshall half stack, and you got all the paperwork in there, advertising costs, who to contact this person, that person, who's doing what. So we contacted, or actually I should say Deb contacted, and what the price was at the time. Old man Dan, you graduated in 1984 here. Okay. At the time, it was like either 10,000. I know it was over $10,000. So in other words, And of course, my wife, she knows more of the detail than myself because I got so many shows I got to just focus on. You know, the mind could only handle so much. But you got $10,000, okay? Waiting list. You write up an article because it's advertising. You get your name on the front cover of Guitar World magazine. Maybe it's different now. Who knows? But I do know we reached out and contacted these people, and that's how we found out a lot of what's going on out there. And it made sense because you know what? It really is advertising. You're buying advertising. You have a product, which is your music, and you want to advertise it. Same way with airplay on the radio. Of course, you know, everything's going to cost. Jim Geachard, yeah. 1981 to wow, I guess I'm really behind. Boy, I tell you what. Yeah, Broken Chains, Bruce, Mr. Bruce, Broken Chains Band is getting good fast. Yeah, I love that name, Undercover. Long time ago we were gonna use it, but you know, I have original music out there, and we were, especially with the corporate gigs, we were getting hired because of my original music, and a lot of it was in the classical, flamenco, jazz sector, and I was able to sneak in some of the rock and metal. But it's quite interesting and quite an honor when people hire you because they like your music and they like the way you play. And I'll tell you what, man, that really makes you want to step things up all the time because you're seeing that people are taking an interest in you, and if they're interested in your craft, so you always want to make sure your craft is worth their money that they're spending for. You know what I mean? I always try to honor people that work hard, that if they want to spend money to see me, I want to make sure they get value for their money because I know what it's like to work. R2, R3 Locking Nut. You rock, my friend. R2's another guy. I'm glad to see you out there. You put a lot of this stuff up, and you being a Chicago guy too, man. It is so cool that you do that, you know? Yeah, it is a great night, my friend. Yeah, we're trying. You know, down here we get a lot of these thunderstorms, man. Down here in Florida, R2, R3. Remember, we get thunderstorms back up in Illinois. You know, it's just, even the countryside, yeah. But down here, dude, it's like it's 10 feet above you. Last night, all I hear was like, holy crap! I thought it was the end of the world. And I bet you too get that too, Sonia. I need to watch Deep Purple and the Rolling Stones. I'm feeling too. Oh, no, you know what? We're you might be maybe 10 years older than me, Sonia. Maybe 15. I know our good friend Showman Blues, which I haven't seen him lately. He actually came out to one of our gigs down in Naples here, and that guy's got a lot of experience. You see what it is. What it really comes down to is even if you just start playing guitar right now, you know, you're a year into your playing and you're in your mid 60s, let's say. One of the things that involves music is the emotional aspect of playing. And a lot of people, maybe they don't talk so much about this because everyone's concentrating on technique and theory. But one of the most crucial aspects of playing is the emotion behind it. And when you have that many years of experience just living, you have that many years of experience in life and all those emotions. And when a person starts to develop a technique, something as simple as a simple bend in a slide. Sometimes as you're playing, the mind drifts. And as the mind drifts, you reflect on your life, you know? I mean, maybe that's what happens sometimes, you know. But it is part of the emotion of playing. And that is the magic of where music really starts to impact a person. If that makes any sense, which I hope it does. I mean, it's not the only aspect of playing, but I've sat in with so many jam sessions, recording sessions, rehearsal sessions, and everything's always analytical, and it has to be because everyone's got to be on the same page. But sometimes the little element of emotion is kind of always put on the back burner, and that is the one thing that people will always relate to. When you talk to somebody about who don't play music about sweeping arpeggios, they'll get a broom, or I use a vacuum. Here, they have no clue what you're talking about. We have only met 4 weeks ago, and I have played once a week for 2 hours. Yeah. Oh yeah, Broken Chain's great. Best part is, see, I gotta look at, you know how the screen is. It's a lot of fun. You know, Broken Chains, absolutely, it is always a lot of fun, man. That's true. Soda Pop, you're absolutely right. Everyone does have their heroes, but not everything is for everybody. You know, that's why. You know what? When I used to teach heavily, and I still do, but this is why we'll be launching our DB guitar jams because there's only 24 hours in a day. You know, but when I was teaching heavily, I would have students of all kinds, all levels, all ages. I would have special, and I don't like calling them special need, but they were in that special need factor. That's why Old Man Dan, I got a lot of respect for the BMX for autism because I had some students that I was teaching with autism. I'll tell you one thing, I learned a lot from them. They were such an inspiration. They remember everything. You know, sometimes I'd wonder, wait a minute, maybe I'm the one that's got something wrong because this this guy, this kid right here, he or she, they just zoom, boom, they focus. It is the most incredible thing to see. And I have absolutely no formal training in teaching special needs or in teaching, period. I just dove into it because I had to. You know, sometimes necessity, you do things out of necessity, but you find out that, hey, I kind of like this. And when you like things, that's when the doors open up because then, and you'll always learn. You won't reject anything, you know. But I agree, and everything's a cup of tea. Lucky not. Yeah, R2R3 is a great shredder, man. I love the way you play, man. See, everyone out there has a unique voice. Every single one of you. And I would never want to be the type of person that says, well, you know what, you need to do. You know, for advice, that's one thing. But I always try to look at the big picture and what a person's ability is because everyone's hands are different. Which is good to see a lot of people are. Yeah, play some. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll jam out in just a second here, man. Here's the thing with I'm sure you guys, when you guys do your live chats, you get caught up in a moment, then all of a sudden you read something, you want to answer that question, and it just spawns off. But this is what's so cool about this, because what this is, it's everybody networking and sharing their experiences and their ideas. Yeah. Clive. Oh yeah, I know what you mean, Clive. No, that's tomorrow. You know EJ's guitar. What what? Sure happy it's Thursday. Awesome. See. Uh, gets overlooked for his playing, and is Albert Lee. Oh, Old Man Dan, definitely, definitely. Albert Lee was an awesome guitarist. You know. Yeah, broken change. Sometimes it does hurt, to be honest. Sometimes, but sometimes you have to be that way. Um, a person should be able to accept constructive criticism. Because that does help build up. And but then you'll have people that just criticize for the sake of criticizing, and what they don't realize when they do that, the only person they're hurting really is going to be themselves. Because a person could fool some of the people some of the time, but they'll never fool everyone. And I never take this personal, uh, because I always, I've got to move forward in life. That's just how it is. We all do. You know. There's a lot of rejection in the music industry, and you guys know when I talk about this with the opportunity killers and the growth chokers. You know what I mean? Those are the people that will invite you in, and then they'll put you on the sideline. They'll try to silence you, push you aside, and it happens to all of us. At some point, when I would talk with these people, and I love doing this in person, talking with them, I'll be polite. I'll always bring, laid my cards on the table and work with their budget and things of that nature. But um, I've done this several times in person. One, I had to do it over the phone because the guy didn't want to meet with me in person. It says he was the owner, and but didn't want to. He wanted the luxuries of ownership, but he didn't want to take responsibility. And I called him out on it. I flat out called him out on it, and he didn't like it. And hey, that's fine, But reality is reality. This is one person you can't fool. Right? When Deb and I relocated down here, I made sure that we were not going to be made fools out of from some of these people, because they'll do it to you. They'll string you out, watch you spend all your money, and feed you any kind of story you want to hear. And when you're out of money, they're out. They're gone. Hey, sorry. And that's just how some of those people are. We just. But one thing that is sad to see is when these people do this, and when they push people aside, and but yet they'll want something, but they don't realize, the karma, what goes around comes around. It's not just words. It's for real, because what happens is that I don't. It's not holding a grudge, but when you're a business owner, and we have incorporated our music as a business, and when you do this as a business as well as for pleasure and fun, but that business side of you have to mark these people, because these are the people that you'll be chasing money. They'll string you out. They could potentially run run you out of business by watching you run and run and run, and you can't do that. There's other places. These people are stuck to a brick and mortar building. We're not. We're transient. We go anywhere. That's why when I name names of places I play at, these are the good people. And as a matter of fact, La Corte Bistro, which is that fancy restaurant, starting next week, because we're going to be moving our Rockin Ibanez from Wednesday to Tuesday, because now every Wednesday and every Friday through the season down here, I'm going to be playing at La Corte. And they've been so good to me. They always get top dibs, they in respect. And then just today, Tammy from Rusty's, she's going to be throwing some more dates at me. She's let me play there also for my 55th double nickel birthday in November. We'll announce that. And because it's more of a rock show, On last year, my birthday, I was at La Corte, and because now it falls on a Saturday, we'll be playing at Rusty's, and she's opened up another location, so she's been good to me. The Blue Monkey, they've been good to me. Tarpon Lodge out in Pine Island, they've been good to me. So these are the people that are good. The ones that are bad, I won't mention their names, and I don't want to slander and bash people, but they do it to themselves. And some of the stories I've heard from the locals, I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jason Wade, what's happening? Watching a movie with the grandkids tonight. Can't watch the live stream, but hey, no problem, man. There's always reruns, right? You got it, my friend. No problems at all. Guys, I never take things personal because everyone's life is busy. You know what I mean? Especially if you got kids. Time with the family is always number one, man. I'll tell you what, a guy that I have a lot of respect for, besides Jim Dietrich, he's all those years, he's, put his passion aside. Like a lot of you who have kids, this is what you've done. You put your passion aside and focused on the family. That right there, that's a guitar hero to me. You know what I mean? Joe Wentz from the Joe Wentz Project, straight shooter. He works a lot, and he's a great guitar player. Adam EVH, another guy, man. His family comes first. He's happy with the gear he has, and man, he spends the money just for his kids. He wants to see his kids enjoy life. He's there for them. No, man, I'll tell you what, there's something that really is top notch about that. It really is, you know. But there's been situations let's see, most of the haters have never played a guitar. Yeah, on YouTube, and that's true, Broken Chains, you know. And it's real sad because they don't have to be that way. They don't have to be that way. They don't realize what they're doing to themselves, you know. And it's sad when they start developing, let's say, start developing channel, and then they use that as, you know, a means of gaining it popular, which is nothing wrong with that. You want to build yourself up, you know. But then when they want to climb to, you know, ride this person's coattail or that person's coattail, and they want to claw their way and throw people aside and that, they have no idea the damage they're doing to themselves. Especially if they think that they're going to get some sort of a deal with a company. Now, companies will use a lot of us YouTubers. I'm not being used by anybody at all. This is all, you know, all on my own, which is, that's fine, you know. Because I was never the type to chase people and get them to just gimme, 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 you know. If I keep asking stuff for free, sooner or later, that guy's going to go out of business because he's got to make money too, you know. But smart people, smart business people, they'll start seeing they'll start seeing a person's personality. And if they're the flip-floppers and the person is up trying to get their company up and going and they start seeing this, chances of them wanting to do business with them will be slim to none. You know, a straight shooter that is a dedicated person, they'll give it to you, that won't knock anybody. They'll bring a situation up maybe, but they will not mention names. They'll have more of a trust in that person because they're in it for the long haul, like a lot of us. I know I'm in it for the long haul. I know a lot of you guys are in this for the long haul, you know. And I tell you what, it's really sad what they don't realize what they're doing to themselves. Because I'll tell you what, if I was a manufacturer and some of the stuff and some of the things I've seen go on, I would think twice about asking that person to demo my gear because they kind of seem like they're a little bit unstable or there's something going on. I tell you what, if I was a manufacturer, not only would I look for the YouTubers because that's like free advertisement, but I'd look for the people that are also out there playing because it's proof in the pudding of what the gear really does, you know. And everyone's going to have their opinion, but if you're going to start dropping, once you go above the $500 mark, that piece of gear should be able to do that money's worth, you know, because it's real embarrassing. Someone comes with a $200 pedal and does just as well, if not better, with a $200 pedal than you got someone that's got a $2,000 piece of gear, you know. It's almost embarrassing, you know. You all, oh yeah, you rock too, R2R3. Yeah, the support is great. Yeah, it's easy when they sort of, if you click on their channel, they yeah, you know, Broken Chains. I know what you mean. I know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, it is something. There's nothing. It's crickets, but yet they're an expert on everything. But there's nothing. They got. Where's the proof? You know, and I'm not trying to knock these people. And you know what? Everyone has a shot at redemption. You know what I mean? Everyone makes mistakes in life, but it's a choice. And if they continue to do that, that's when people. I'll tell you what. When I get the feeling that, you know, I get shoved aside or something like that, then it makes me feel like, okay, I'm not welcome. So then I retract myself, you know, and I do it with respect and you know, with honor to that person, because maybe there's something about me they don't like, and that's fine. You're not gonna. No one is gonna like everyone all the time. But I'll retract myself, and I always just move forward, you know, and that's I think what some of them people need to do, you know. They could get themselves up and going and life would be wonderful because life is great. Right? Let's see. Oh, thank you, play at Mr. Soda Pop. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. Oh, Mr. Michael B. I hope all is going well. I saw you unboxing that Commodore 64, man. And I'm not really a computer buff at all, but see, all this is stuff that comes from our past, you know? 1982, boy, I tell you what. I remember in high school, I was a Jr., 1980, and our English teacher was asking, will the computer really be the standard in the business world, in society in general? I mean, it was so odd to go look back and remember that statement when now shit, we can't do anything without our cell phones, right? But yeah, here's the deal. EJ's Guitar Jams and Mitch Heyman and this girl that's out there, Rachel F. with the Ibanez. You guys got that Ibanez guitar. It's like an aqua blue burst with the ash. It almost looks like it's maple back and sides, but it's ash. And I think Mitch and EJ's Guitar Jams has the Prestige. When I almost bought the exact same model, the exact same finish Ibanez with the exact same it's almost like a Floyd Rose bridge, and but it was not the Prestige. It had this logo right here where it comes down, this little swoop, this line. That's what it was. And that girl Rachel, she's got the same one but with a fixed bridge. Yeah, let's see. Okay, call it a. Oh man, guys. Yeah, didn't Randy Rhoads say he learned a lot more from his students? Yeah, yeah, because you know what? Here's the deal. They're gonna. It's their perception on things. They'll come up with something that you never thought of, or you haven't thought of in years. You know what I mean? And now it gets your mind start to wander. Say, hey, wait a minute, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, your best playing, Old Man Dan, is when you play with emotion. Absolutely, man. There is nothing that beats. Whatever you feel. And then everything else, tone, your amp settings and things like that, always will evolve. But even with the electric guitar, without it not plugged in, you start to develop your vibratos and your slides and your bends. That's what really helps with the emotion. Let's see, Mr. Bruce, man, you are awesome. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Yeah, Broken Change, your call covers, man, killer. For me, what's happening is try to listen. Yeah. What has happened with me is now the next song that I got notified twice. Michael B, you might be able to shed some light on this with the copyright infringements. So the next song that I cannot put up anymore is going to be Stairway to Heaven. Now, they didn't come after me with the letter, certificate, the court hearing, the court date, you know what I mean? But I'm going to start honoring this because this is the fine line that I think people like myself fall in if you're doing this as a business. They know you're doing this as a business, and every business is in business to make money. So they know that I got my originals, and they know I'm not playing Stairway to Heaven for 4 hours. I get sick of it. But it's within that parameter of that night that is yielding money, and the old saying is, in business, the person who has the most money has the money to hire the lawyers if they want to come after you. And it could get to that point. Because like I said, that lady, the last place I played at in Illinois, she was telling us the guy from BMI came in, and it wasn't through the internet. Can you go back to 1901 and play a Priest tune for us? Well, you know what? Let's see. And I'm so behind in my chats, man. I'm like, holy crap, I appreciate it so much, guys. Let's see. one of the bands back in Chicago was called Judas Rising. It was a Judas Priest Iron Maiden tribute band. And R2R3, if you're still there, you remember Rebel Radio, Scott Davidson? Well, he came out. We used to also do open mics and that. He came out and he says, "Dude, because when I always would wear my hair long, you kind of look like Glenn Tipton, you know. So we're looking for guitars. Would you like to check it out?" Yeah, okay. So I got one of the live, 1982 live DVDs, and I'm watching it and going over all the songs, and like, oh my God, I remember. It's been so many years, but it's practicing, and then I called the vocalist of the band, and then he says, well, give you a heads up, the lead guitarist, he thinks he's Glenn or KK Downing, and you know, he's a little bit sometimes hard to deal with, and I said I could work with that, you know. I don't want to step on people's toes and that. He says, no, he really gets, you know, like, okay, it's going to be a sensitive situation. So, Deb and I were talking about it, plus I still had all my shows, you know, it was only 24 hours. This is when we were doing music 100% full time. 100% full time, and it's like, okay, we got to think this out, you know. And I politely declined. Oh, you know what? I'm glad to have met all you guys, man. I'll tell you what, because this really, really is such a great platform. We have we have a time in history in guitar history that this is going to stand out, because the guitar is not completely dead, but it has nosedived in its popularity and, you know, pop cultural and everything. But this underground movement is so powerful, man. It's such an honor to be part of it with all you guys and all the other great guitar players out there, you know. And what's really cool is there's so many different sectors of it, like with the classical guitar world, Guitar Foundation of America, which Deb and I were members of, and I never participated in those, and one of these days I'd like to, but they have their conventions and their competitions, and it's strictly classical guitar, and I'll tell you what, man, these people are unbelievable, man, holy crap. But when you win, one of the things you win is you go on tour with an orchestra, and I understand notation, but you got to be able to read it fast. But see, here's the deal: when you're in that situation, you have a set list, and you're constantly going over it, redefining it with the rehearsals and everything. It becomes, like the sheet music is just there as the reference, because a lot of the classical musicians will watch the conductor. But it is a different atmosphere. It's a totally different world. But I'll tell you what, man, you want to see some good guitar players. Holy crap, man. So, yeah, we will be closing this off in a few minutes here. I just want to catch up what I tell you. Let's see. My weakness is learning other people's songs note for note, sweep picking, the full fret. Yeah, you know what? Here's... Soda Pop, yeah, I've had that issue, and part of the reason why I've had that issue is as I would play these songs, it's not like I couldn't sit and discipline myself to do it, but my ideas would just pop up all over the place. Now, when it was critical for me, then I would just, bam, focus, and no matter how long it took me, I'd get it done. When I was playing at the Bristol Renaissance Fair, I had to go over Renaissance music. And this is what I was going to say about a lot of like the country and bluegrass music. A lot of it, from what I've read in articles, it did come from Scotland. And you got to think about it, this country is not that old, so people were coming here, bringing all their influences. Now, like with flamenco is not just from Spain, but the Arab countries. They were migrating back in those days, and they'd settle. And every time you'd move and settle, you'd be at camp for a while, And my educated guess, because this was speculated in so many articles with the Soundboard magazine, is that as you're traveling, we're all human beings, We settle in, we get something to eat, we're tired, we're going to entertain ourselves because there was no TVs back then, there was no electricity back then, you know? So it's a campfire, you bring out the guitar, and what you would play would be the reflection of that day. And everyone is different. This is why everyone sounds different, and this is why everyone's technique would be slightly different. It'd be the development of a physical playing from the end of that day. And things would evolve, evolve, evolve. Now, the interesting thing, a lot of your composers that would be playing for the king and queen would want it to remain anonymous because they would get hired from the king and queen or the pope or whatever, and they had to play what they were dictated to play. They could not play anything outside because it'd be like heresy, and some of these people would actually have to go to the, I don't want to say the death penalty, but you had the torture chambers, you know, they stick you in a hole. You violated, you disrespected the king, you disrespected the queen, you disrespected authorities, what they're telling you. So there was consequences. And one of the pieces, actually I'll play just a couple of these pieces that you'll recognize that in traditional sheet music, if you look under who wrote it, it'll say anonymous because the person never wanted to put their name to it. It was this, and this is steel string, so kind of bear with me here. Romanza. Another one is Renaissance. A lot of people associate it with Christmas. What child is this? But it is a Renaissance piece. Green sleeves. And it does date back to I want to say it was, if I remember correctly, mid 1500s. Because the Renaissance period went from, let's see, the 14 to the 15. Just under the 1600s, then the Baroque eras. But you see, the whole point I'm making is that music goes back a lot further than what people want to, think. It's not just blues based. Blues did come from something. When people settled over in this country, then things started to evolve, and as just like people's dialect and their accents. People from New York. We got a lot of New Yorkers down here, man, and you could hear them right away. There's a few people from Boston down here in Florida. It's like Florida is more of a melting pot than I realized. People from the Dominican Republic, people from Cuba, and that. So it's these different dialects, So they bring their cultural with them, and they bring their influences. And for music, it's their own flavor. And of course, blues. 50s blues. Blues started 50s rock and roll and blues-based rock and roll. Heavy metal, as far as chord progressions, a lot of it's based in minor, a lot of it's based and borrowed from classical and chord progressions that's used in flamenco. Some of the solos, the earlier stuff, would be blues-based because that's all what a lot of guitar players were doing was the pentatonic. But when you combined it all, you start to realize, okay, these modes, and a lot of times, guys, and it's almost embarrassing to admit this, but a lot of times I'll forget exactly what they're, is that Phrygian, is it dominant, but I know my notes on the neck. And I'll tell you what, if you know all your notes on the fretboard, I guarantee you, 100% guarantee you will stump some of these people that, they're that are very highly educated college. And it's not that they don't know where the names are. They had to look at it from a different point of view because they had all these tests to take. So of course they had to cram it in their heads. But my point is that that's where a lot of in the metal world, and then when people like Ingve came out and the '70s fusion, and people started studying classical music, and that's when they started saying, "Oh, okay, now I get it. I know what's going on." But a lot of your flamenco guitar players and classical musicians, classical guitars, they've known this all for a long, long time. When Segovia in the '20s was playing, you know. Okay, I realize it is different if you're playing to an audience. I only play for me. Yeah, you know what, guys? There's absolutely sometimes your best playing is actually minus the audience, because there's the variables. Old man Dan, see ya, R2, R3. Yeah, you have a good one, my friend. I don't have any kids yet, but life is maintenance. It is. So the pop, Deb and I, we don't have any kids, because we knew what we were gonna be doing with all the traveling, and I used to get a lot of heat because I used to also EJ's Guitar Jams. If you're watching, I also used to do church gigs, and there is a video on my other channel because I know you had mentioned about this. Oh, but you can't this and can't that. There's two churches I used to do. One was a New Song Church, and the worship leader, he was a really good guy, man. Easy to work with. He had a set of what we were supposed to do, but he was really easygoing, and he would let me go outside the box a little bit, but he knew I had the respect for him that I didn't go too far. Warehouse Church in Aurora, Illinois. It was a lot of the old rockers, and Randy Schoaf and Dave Miller and Gary Moody and oh God, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the other guy's name. Michael. Oh God, I feel so bad. But yeah, it was more of bikers and guys that used to play at the Thirsty Whale. And what was cool with the Warehouse Church, each Sunday would be different. So sometimes I'd be playing acoustic stuff. Sometimes I wouldn't be playing at all. It'd be different people, always rotating. But sometimes it'd be rock and metal. And there's a video that put up on my other channel where we're playing To Hell with the Devil. And right there in church on stage, I had my wireless, and I go from one side of the stage and throw my guitar around, and people, some didn't like it, and some thought it was the coolest thing they've ever seen. Hey Dave, please. Yes. Now, I gotta watch because I'm almost out of my minutes here, guys. That's because I can't sing. Or this one, which I know I'll get this going sooner or later. If I can, legally. Yeah. What I'll probably do for Saturday's chat, maybe I'll bust out some of this stuff, man. I think that's what I'll do. Surprise you guys. American Devil, you totally rock, dude. That was an awesome song. I really appreciate you letting me do that. And I'll tell you what, man, anyone's got songs they want to say with Jim Dietrich, we're going to be featuring a lot of your stuff. And that's what I do this because I just want to help people, because I remember how I was always, he's the guy with the PV. He goes to the side, he ain't Jack, he ain't important. No, everyone's important to me, man. I don't care how good I get, how high up the totem pole I ever get. I still put my pants on one leg at a time, and I will never misuse. To me, it's a gift from God, and I will never misuse that to put other people down or to claw my way to the top. No, that's he's my friend. Not that is so ridiculous when I see that. Again, they shoot themselves in the foot. You know. But my friends, my time is almost done here because my minutes will go off. So I will demonstrate some Paul Gilbert licks, my friend. All right, guys. Tomorrow we'll be at the Blue Monkey. We'll broadcast it live. We'll spotlighting your guys' stuff, and that'll be from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, because this thing's gonna turn off any moment, and I don't want to. I don't want to be rude.